can feel it before anyone says a word. The way the conversation shifts when you speak, the way they talk over you, the way your messages get ignored while you're the one always reaching out, the way they treat your time like it's optional, your presence like it's free, your voice like it's disposable. And you wonder why they don't respect you. But the truth is more uncomfortable than that. It's not that they decided to stop respecting you. It's that you taught them how. You trained them to interrupt you by always softening your tone. You taught them you were always available by never saying no. You taught them you'd absorb their chaos by always fixing what wasn't yours. You taught them you'd back down, explain more, accept less. Disrespect doesn't always arrive like a slap. Sometimes it comes in the form of a smile because you've made yourself safe to ignore. And no one understood this slow erosion of respect better than Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche wasn't a philosopher of comfort. He didn't write to make you feel better. He wrote to wake you up violently if necessary. Born in 1844, Nietzsche spent his life confronting the deepest illusions of modern society: morality, conformity, herd thinking, and self-abandonment disguised as virtue. To Nietzsche, respect was not something you asked for. It was something you embodied. It was the echo of your self-worth projected outward and mirrored back to you. He who despises himself still respects himself as one who despises. Beyond Good and Evil, 1887, in human terms. If you tolerate your own mistreatment, others will too. If you abandon your voice to avoid conflict, you will slowly erase your presence. If you disrespect your boundaries, don't be surprised when others follow suit. This is the moment, the exact moment you lose people's respect, the moment you apologize for your truth. You do it in subtle ways. You downplay your needs so you don't sound too much. You laugh off the insult because confrontation feels awkward. You say, "Sorry, I'm being difficult," when all you did was express a basic preference. And here's the tragedy. You think you're being kind. You think you're maintaining peace. But what you're actually doing is training people to see you as optional. Nietzsche would say, this isn't kindness. It's slave morality. A morality built not from strength but from fear. Fear of disconnection. Fear of disapproval. Fear of being misunderstood. Morality is the best of all devices for leading mankind by the nose. On the Genealogy of Morals, 1887. What does he mean? That we confuse virtue with obedience. That we moralize our own fear, calling it goodness so we don't have to confront the truth. We're terrified of losing people. Terrified of being disliked. Terrified of being seen as difficult, or different, or dangerous. So we shrink. But shrinking does not protect you. It only guarantees that people will forget your edges. Respect isn't about being feared. It's about being felt. And Nietzsche knew that wouldn't happen unless you first respected your own silence. Your own no. Your own discomfort. Your own time. You're not disrespected because you're weak. You're disrespected because you've been taught that sacrificing your voice makes you lovable. But Nietzsche's entire philosophy begins where that lie ends. He believed in the sovereign individual, the one who commands their own instincts, speaks their truth without softening it, and becomes ungovernable by anything except their own values. He believed in becoming dangerous not to others, but to the systems that kept you small, to the people who only liked a version of you they could manipulate, to the parts of yourself that begged for scraps instead of building a feast. You repay a teacher badly if you remain only a pupil. Thus spoke Zarathustra, 1883. You are not here to remain a student of shame. You are not here to keep getting smaller. You are here to become a presence one that cannot be ignored. And that begins the moment you stop apologizing for having standards. There's a voice inside you that's been whispering for years. I'm tired of explaining myself. I'm tired of being good just to be tolerated. I'm tired of asking for respect when I know I deserve it. Here's the truth, you can't ask for respect. You have to become someone people don't feel entitled to. You don't rebuild respect with a speech. You rebuild it with energy, with presence, with a slow, quiet return to your center. Nietzsche called this the will to power, not domination over others, but the inner force to live from your own values, even if no one approves. What is good? All that heightens the feeling of power, the will to power, power itself in man. The Antichrist, 1895. You regain respect the moment you stop waiting for permission to act. In alignment. So here's how it begins. 1. Withdraw instead of explaining. Let your silence become sacred again. Every time you explain a boundary, you give people an opening to argue with it. Every time you justify a no, you invite negotiation. But when you say nothing, when you simply act, you become clear, final, unmovable. You don't owe them a reason. Your peace is reason enough. Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster. Beyond good and evil translation. Don't become reactive. Don't perform your pain. Just move differently. 2. Speak less, but mean more. Stop diluting your words to stay soft. Your tone matters less than your weight. People listen when you speak with deliberation, not decoration. A calm voice, a direct sentence, a refusal to qualify your truth with, does that make sense? Or sorry if that's rude. Nietzsche's ideal was not the loud voice, but the one that needed no validation. The higher man is distinguished from the lower by his fearlessness and his readiness to challenge. The Antichrist fearlessness doesn't mean aggression. It means not needing a script to feel worthy. 3. Reclaim the power of being misunderstood. Carl Jung believed that individuation, the process of becoming your true self, always comes with misunderstanding. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Modern man in search of a soul, you've spent your life trying to be understood. But that craving is what made you so easy to bend. You don't need to be understood. You need to be aligned. If they don't get it, that's fine. Your life is not a pitch meeting. It's a philosophy. 4. Live by internal standard, not external reaction. Do not gauge your worth by how people respond to you. Gauge it by how you respond to yourself. Did you speak with integrity? Did you act in alignment? Did you say no when it would have been easier to bend? That's the real scoreboard. Become who you are. The gay science, not what earns applause. Not what stays agreeable, but what rings true even in solitude. 5. Let them feel the absence of your old self. People respected you less, not because they're cruel, but because the old you was always available for disrespect. The you who overgave, who overshared, who tolerated too much, who chased validation like it was survival. That version of you is gone now. You don't need to announce the change. Just stop showing up as the person who needed to be liked more than they needed to be free. When you rebuild respect, you do it in stillness. You do it by exiting the conversation instead of begging to be heard. By slowing your responses until they feel like decisions, not reactions. By making your time feel expensive again. By letting your absence say more than your words ever could. You do it not by becoming ruthless, but by becoming real. And here's the paradox Nietzsche understood better than anyone. When you no longer need their respect, that's when it starts returning. You don't need to raise your voice to lose your power. You just need to be too available. You answer too fast. You show up too often. You offer too much of yourself, too freely, too quickly, and too constantly. And at first, it feels like connection, like kindness, like being a good person. But over time, your presence starts to feel cheap, not because it lacks value but because it never demands it. This is the quiet tragedy of over-availability. You train people to expect your energy like it costs you nothing. But it does. It costs you your mystery, your clarity, your sovereignty. And once again, Nietzsche had a warning. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Twilight of the idols, but most people don't have a why. They have a constant stream of how. They're always reacting, always answering, always present because they're terrified of being forgotten. They think being present all the time proves they're worthy of love, but being constantly present doesn't earn you love. It earns you predictability, and nothing kills respect faster than becoming predictable. That's not connection. That's servitude, and Nietzsche would say that servitude is chosen, not enforced. He called this form of behavior ressentiment, a French word he used to describe the subtle bitterness and moral justification that arises in the powerless. You give and give and give, and secretly, you hope someone notices. You hope they repay it with loyalty or love or acknowledgement, but they don't. They expect more, and you give more, and they respect you less. Because you've taught them that you don't need rest, you don't need reciprocity, you don't need space. You've taught them that you don't need to be treated like someone valuable. Psychologist Alfred Adler would call this a compensation response. You try to cover your inner feeling of inferiority by overperforming socially. You become the fixer, the helper, the one who's always fine. But inside, you're eroding. Carl Jung saw this as a refusal to acknowledge the shadow, the hidden, rejected parts of yourself that long for space, silence, protection, and rage. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Psychology and alchemy, your constant availability is a rejection of your own darkness, of your limits, of your complexity. And people can feel that. They don't just see the over-responsiveness. They sense the self-rejection behind it. Because no one who truly values their energy gives it away indiscriminately. And no one who values themselves is constantly trying to prove it. You lose respect the moment you become mentally inexpensive. The moment your time becomes a revolving door. The moment your yes is automatic. The moment your boundaries dissolve into convenience. The higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly. Thus spoke Zarathustra. This isn't about arrogance. It's about altitude. You are not rude for taking space. You are not selfish for saying not now. You are not cruel for becoming more selective. You are becoming rare again. Respect is built on mystery, on restraint, on the courage to be missed instead of always being seen. So if you feel invisible in rooms, you help hold together. If your silence is noticed more than your presence, if your absence creates more weight than your constant availability ever did, then good. That's not loss. That's value returning to its source. And it's proof that you stopped being manageable. You've stopped being convenient. You've stopped being the one who always absorbs, always fixes, always bends. You've started becoming expensive again. And that's when people start paying attention differently. You've been loud in all the wrong places. Loud in your explanations. Loud in your apologies. Loud in your effort to be seen, heard, liked, and kept. And yet what did it earn you? Disrespect disguised as friendship. Imbalance dressed up as intimacy. Tolerance in place of admiration. But that version of you, the one who bent to be understood, who gave more to be chosen, who blurred every boundary to stay safe, that version of you is over now. You don't need to get louder. You need to get clearer. You need to remember, silence is not submission. It's sovereignty. All great things must first wear terrifying and monstrous masks in order to inscribe themselves on the hearts of humanity. Friedrich Nietzsche, on the genealogy of morality. In other words, people won't always like your strength at first. They may flinch at your silence. They may resent your standards. They may say, "You've changed." Let them, because you are no longer here to be recognized. You are here to be aligned. Carl Jung called this the return to wholeness, a full psychological integration of all the parts you exiled. The truth teller, the shadow holder, the version of you that doesn't need to be rescued, explained, or softened. You don't owe anyone the version of you that made them comfortable. You owe yourself the version of you that makes you proud. The man who does not value himself cannot value anything or anyone. Nietzsche, this is your value returning to its source. Not because someone finally saw your worth, but because you finally refused to rent it out. And now, you walk differently. You speak less, but mean more. You answer slower, because urgency is no longer your master. You stop reacting because reaction is what gave them power. Now you move with intention. Now you pause. Now you let people feel the silence after your no. You've become mentally expensive, emotionally fortified, spiritually unbothered. And it shows. People start second-guessing their tone when they speak to you. They listen when you speak, not because you shout, but because your words are no longer negotiable. They watch how you move, because you've stopped being predictable. This is the paradox. The moment you stop asking for respect is the moment you become someone it's hard to ignore. Even the Roman emperor-philosopher Marcus Aurelius understood this. The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do. Only what you do. Meditation's true peace comes when you withdraw your mind from their hands, when you stop renting your identity to strangers, when you stop performing for people who were never clapping for you to begin with. So let them misread you. Let them gossip about your silence. Let them shrink your absence down to ego. They will say you're selfish now,